Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee, Cocktails, and Capitalism. It's great to see everybody today. I'm very excited to spend a little time with my good friend, who I've had the opportunity to get to know for how many years now? 5
Gosh, hasn't
years?
it 5
It's
already?
been a minute. But she's such an interesting and accomplished person. I'm excited for you all to get to know her as well. And we can all learn a little something from each other's triumphs and tribulations, as they say. So without further ado, Navini Coakley, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Morgan. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm very excited.
Well, great. If you did not watch the video where we made these really delicious drinks that have pomegranate seeds and jalapeno and gut healthy, skin healthy things in them, go back and watch that video. We're also going to link all of the ingredients and things like that so you guys can make your own at home. It's really, really fantastic, actually. And yes, if it wasn't noon on a Friday, I would have Prosecco in mine.
Yes.
Or maybe vodka.
Yes. Any, I think white liquor would be fantastic. I'm so glad you're
You
enjoying
could put a little rum in there, maybe.
Oh, sure you can. I mean, let's not,
We won't discriminate.
no.
Tequila, I mean,
restrictions.
pick your flavor. Okay, so anyways, I want to make good use of our time. I think it's fascinating to talk to people who have really kind of lived different experiences from myself. And we're going to kind of get to where you are now and all the cool and interesting things that you're doing and that we sometimes get to do together. But let's start back at the beginning. Where were you born? Where did life start, Navini?
Okay, all the way back.
All the way back at the beginning. It's like the origin story, right?
Okay, so I was born in Durban, South Africa.
Okay.
Yes, 50 years ago. Is that crazy?
Stop. Everyone look at her. No way. No way this started 50 years ago.
Listen, I am of Indian descent, so I will say genes has maybe 50% to do with
You'll
this.
give it credit, yeah.
I will. Yet, just taking care of yourself. I've always, as you know, been into really like nutritious, yummy food, moving my body, all the things. So lifestyle counts for a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so you started in South Africa.
I did.
And for those of us less cultured, where is that compared to like Cape Town or the coast, or whereabouts in the country were you?
Sure. So Durban is actually on the East Coast, very much like us here in Vero Beach.
Okay.
Cape Town is on the West Coast. And South Africa is actually a country, not just a region. So it is the southernmost country in the continent of Africa.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. So what was childhood like, just kind of briefly, for you in South Africa? Now that you've lived in America and raised kids in America, were there any kind of stark differences or some fond memories that you had growing up that paint a little picture?
Very fond memories, for sure. I'm so grateful for my beginnings. They were humble. We were an average family in a suburban neighborhood. And, you don't know what you don't know, right? So growing up in South Africa, I loved my life. I was very fortunate. My parents were always very encouraging of anything that I wanted to do, and very just supportive, which is why when I was 24 and told them I'm going to be moving halfway across the world, they were sad to see me go, but they were fully supportive. So I'm forever grateful for that. Life was very interesting in South Africa. And I think that's where my love for good nutrition came about. Because in my home, we had large gardens that surrounded it. And my dad was an avid gardener, bless his heart. So we had everything from fruit trees to, anything to make a salad with. So that was kind of my education into good food and stuff.
But real quick, you didn't grow up on a farm, right?
No, not at all. I was in a suburb.
He just was interested in it, and he kind of took initiative to kind of grow healthy foods and things like that within your, normal suburbia type neighborhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was very fortunate. So lived in suburbia, you just had beautiful property and just surrounded by all of those good
But that's
things.
an encouragement that a lot more of us could do that. You just have to be very intentional about it.
Oh, absolutely. And I know people right here that do that. And I love that. I mean, I do container gardening here. So there really is no excuse not to be able to do your own, right? You just, like I say to my children, find a solution. Don't rely on the excuse. So do what you can. Container gardening's great. Florida summers are tough and the soil is not fantastic, yet you certainly can do that. Start with a little herb pot, and when you can not kill something, you feel good about yourself.
Keep a cactus alive for a month or two.
So I have to be honest, I did not love growing things. My dad, I swear he could plant cardboard and get it to thrive.
That's amazing.
So even though I was exposed to that as a young age, it's not something that I gravitated towards. And then as an adult, I was like, oh, I should start my own gardening. And honestly, I killed everything. And it's disappointing, right? Because you're putting all that effort and energy into it. Yet I persevered, and thank goodness, because when I found my first spark of success, it was kind of like a dopamine hit. And so I wanted more. And so, and then the kids came around and they loved it. And so just experiencing it through them, and being grateful again for my knowledge, and education on, what a fruit looks like on a tree and being able to recognize trees. I want to pass that on to them as well.
Yeah. Well, good for you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Navini always makes me feel like I need to be doing more with my life.
Oh, gosh, no, that is not the point.
No, I know. All right. So anyway, so you are 24. What made you decide to come to America?
So I had not left the country.
Okay.
At that point. And this was at the end of 99. And for some reason, our gut intuition, whatever, mine had told me that I need to travel outside of the country by the time I was 24. And it was the beginning of 99. And I was like, wait a minute. It's almost the 24th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've reached my arbitrary deadline.
Exactly. My self-imposed deadline.
Right.
It's something it's become much of a trend, I guess. And none of my friends were ready to travel with me. So, I fully believe in the universe bringing us signs. I was reading the Sunday paper one day, and I saw this little article for, come visit America, the American Institute for Foreign Study. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And one thing led to another. It was actually an au pair agency that had put that article out. I went for my 3-hour interview.
Oh my God.
Yes, very rigorous. And then I was matched with a family and ended up in South Jersey, of all places.
So random.
So random. Had a fantastic experience here. Met some great au pairs from around the world.
Wow.
My experience with my family was incredible. And then on one random night, 2 months before I was scheduled to leave back home, I met my now husband. So it was fate that brought me back. My original intention was to go back home, spend a couple months, and then go to Europe.
Okay.
So he changed that course. And here I am. And now I'm here, 25 years later.
That's amazing. So how long did you all, after you got married, did you stay up in New Jersey? When did you move down to Vero?
So actually, there's a lot of twists in my story, aren't there? He's not from New Jersey. He's actually from Connecticut. We happened to meet in New Jersey on one random evening. So when we got married in 2002, I moved back to Connecticut. We spent a year there. And his folks lived down in Vero Beach, whom you know.
Yeah.
And
for the locals, the infamous Joe Coakley is Navini's father-in-law.
That's who I am.
Full disclosure. So she's fully her own person separately.
I am. Yeah. So a little side note that's so interesting. So back home, my dad was also a prominent member of the community. And he was an educator all his life. So just, a pillar of society there. And so I was always known as his daughter. And then I moved over here.
You're like, I'm free.
And now I'm Joe Coakley's daughter-in-law. Love you, Joe. But yes, I am my own person. So I chuckle every time I hear that. So Joe and Judy were here. We visited them, and I was like, wow, this actually reminds me a lot of Durban back home. The ocean, the bougainvillea, the hibiscus, and they were family. So we moved down here in 2003.
Nice. 2003. So that's a minute. You've been here now.
Gosh, it
over
was
20 years.
It was not the plan. We were there to come here for just a couple of years. And then move somewhere else. And, then the kids came, and to have built-in grandparents is such a blessing. So here we are. I'm loving it. I love this community.
It is a very special place. And how old are your kids now?
Okay. Wow. We're really getting into it.
We don't have to spend a ton of time on that, but just for
No.
perspective
Yeah,
purposes.
so my daughter just turned 18. She's 18 and a half. So she is actually a first year at the University of Virginia.
Congrats to her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, she is loving her experience and thriving there. And then I have my little guy who's actually going to be 14 on Sunday.
Not so little anymore.
Not so little, but the baby's always the baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's them.
They're really great kids.
We are very fortunate.
And my husband especially adores your son.
Oh, I think they have a special bond.
They do.
On the pickleball court.
Half Indian man to half Indian man.
That's it, absolutely.
Playing pickleball.
Yes,
and
Indian hybrid.
yes. Hiding from the women folk, They do what they do. But okay, so in between all of this, didn't you really kind of studying cooking at some points?
Yes, so actually that came later. That came after I was over here in the States. So again, growing up in an Indian household, the kitchen is a very central community to every family. There's always something in a pot on the stove. Mm-hmm. There's always more food than you need to share. And so I really developed a love for cooking at the age of 12. And I just experimented. And actually, when I went to school, I actually studied business and also some computer programming. So I know
I don't think I knew that about you.
I don't think you did either. Okay. So there's many facets, like you mentioned. So my first job out of college was actually with a provincial sports body. And so I did a little bit of data programming there for them. And that's when I got into events. So, that part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I loved the logistics of the events. I just loved everything about it, the birthing of it, as the final product. And then when I came over here, I essentially had to start again, but found my way quickly back into the events management mode. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Vero Beach Food and Wine Festival that we used to have a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic event, great for the community, lots of fundraising. And so myself with two other moms at that time that I met in Vero. And that's why I love this community, the networking and opportunities. Mm-hmm. So we ran that wine festival, and that was just incredible. Fantastic experience. And then I realized, there's something about this food thing I should delve into. And that's when I went to culinary school. So I was actually in the inaugural class of the Treasure Coast Culinary Institute.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was great timing for me. I did not have to go down to Miami or Orlando, to one of those culinary schools. I got my training right here. Worked with Elizabeth Kennedy Catering for a long while.
Oh, that's great.
So I was a catering chef. I also did some personal chefing as well. Thoroughly enjoy that. Yet always knew it, the hours weren't conducive for a mom. So once we started a family, I kind of weaned myself off of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've kind of taken your love of food and your love of cooking and nutrition and general health and wellness, and now you're doing something that encompasses kind of a lot of those things.
It does, really. It's come full circle. So I come from a family of educators, like I mentioned, with my dad and other members as well, and doctors as well. So it feels like full circle where I am now, because I'm now in the wellness space with a high focus on nutrition, being able to create healthy humans with no disease, reduce inflammation, all of that good stuff. And I love it. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of education within that wellness field. So it's just interesting how, life's turns and twists bring you into your final
always feel like all the bits and pieces that people pick up along the way really do fuse together to, impact what it is that they end up doing kind of later in life and in the later seasons.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And this was something that honestly caught me by surprise. I was just looking for a way to come back home, even just part-time, because my daughter was entering high school. Mm-hmm. And gosh, life flies by when you have kids, doesn't it? And I came to the realization that I only had 4 more years with her. And I wanted to make sure that we got some quality time together and that I could be a yes mom be present. That was my ultimate goal. Yet I knew that I couldn't be a fully stay-at-home mom because I needed more. I love producing. I have a lot of creativity
Well,
in
you've
me.
always worked and learned and studied and pursued
Yes.
things of your own. So yeah.
Absolutely. So I needed that functionality as well, right? Beyond being a mom. I love being a mom, but there needed to be more. And so I'm super grateful that I was able to be with the kids in those formidable younger years. And then this business came into my life. So I've been doing it for almost 6 years now. And I'm just loving it because to be able to create a positive impact with, what you're doing as a job, I don't even think of it as that. It's just wonderful. And the people that I'm meeting through my journey has been amazing, and I love what's happening in this country, but globally right now as well, is that more people are moving from sick care to healthcare, right? They're finally realizing, okay, we can prevent all these diseases and chronic illnesses and obesity.
There's a lot more that we can do that we've not been doing for a while. And I think especially like the up and coming generations are a lot more aware of that.
Oh, indeed. And the kids as well. Gosh, they are eye openers as well, and that's our goal, right? Is to be better for the next generations that are going to be here. And what I've learned, what I love is like just with making our simple mocktail.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be grand gestures. It can be simple, everyday things.
Yeah, just little small choices.
Choices. Again, another thing I speak to my kids about every day, right? Because most adults weren't taught that, we weren't taught about choices. We're just expected to do the right thing. Yet it is such an important conversation. And so just little things, healthy food can be nutritious. It can be good looking. It can be accessible. It can be simple to make.
And it can be full of flavor,
Oh, absolutely.
And I do think, and you know about this too, and there's probably products that you work with and things like that, but sometimes you need a little bit of a gut reset because your gut will crave sugar so much and processed foods so much, and that's what it's used to. And it is hard to break that habit. So, not to minimize that, it's very difficult, like once you've kind of been in that vein for a long time. But we had our mutual friend Jane on the other day.
Oh.
Yeah, Jane Withers. And so she was talking about, taking wellness retreats and, escapes and breaks and things to kind of, really intentionally reset and things like that. So, but maybe talk a little bit about, some of the people that you work with, maybe what stages of health are they at, and, how easy or hard is it to kind of make the shift to really kind of reset your body to be craving healthier things, and then it's easier to kind of continue to make those healthier choices. Wow. If that makes sense.
Yes, it totally does. And what I love about our health journeys, yet what also, kind of poses some wrenches in there as well, is that everybody's journey is different, right? However, you're right. It's about deprogramming. And even now, like with the new studies, they've realized even just a simple thing like the food pyramid, or your plate, like those were studies done in the 1940s on primarily men, and so now especially, I mean, I've always been a researcher. But, we mentioned the menopausal or perimenopausal journey earlier, but, that's just another season of your life. And so not one size fits all,
right?
Even for yourself, what was good for you in your teens isn't the same as your 20s, isn't the same as a 40, 50-year-old woman.
Well, and you mentioned genetics earlier too, right? And that plays a part of it. And if you do some of those genetic testings, you can see certain people's families are just more prone to things, and so you have to give yourself a lot of grace in the process.
Totally. And knowledge is power. And, and I say this to my kids all the time as well, is that they're so fortunate that they have knowledge at their fingertips, right? The struggle is, knowing to go to the correct resources, right? That are valid, and that are credible. Yet we can look up anything these days. And that's what I encourage people to do. Just start researching, right? It starts with you. Don't rely on a doctor or an expert. You know your body. Like intuition is such an incredible thing. And again, it starts with small choices. So there are some basic things that you can start doing, that we know that processed food is not ideal, right? Whole food is way better. The stores have great organic options now, but in this town, we have so many fantastic farms and farm stands. We have a great green market on a Saturday morning, so.
Are you talking about the beachside farmers market?
Yes.
Yes.
So procuring locally is always going to be best for your body because it reduces the carbon footprint, right? And your food just tastes better. So that's one of the things I love about container gardening as well. So being able to just, pick that parsley, like from the moment you touch it, you're having an experience. You smell it. It smells just so much better than the stuff that you get at the store, right? Even the organic stuff. And so that it's so nutrient dense. And so just little things. Sugar causes inflammation, and that's why I mentioned sugar, I guess, so much during the mocktail making session as well, is that just reducing it, right? It's not easy for anyone to kick any habit, right? Whether it's alcohol, drugs, or things in our diet like
caffeine addiction.
Caffeine and the sugar and the preservatives, and so your gut has been trained for all these years, however many that is for you, to think a certain way, and that's why it's craving sugar. So you're going to have to, wean it. You're going to have to go through some withdrawals, yet it is doable, and that's the good news, you know. So research is important. Your question about the people that I work with, they're in all phases of the journey. Some are just moms that are tired and haven't focused on themselves and now are finally looking to get back in shape, get healthier. They are just people in whatever stage of their life, and they're looking to be a healthier version of themselves, or they're sick of being on meds, or just don't know where to start. So there's so many ways we can help people. And I love having conversations with people because everyone's journey is so different. Yet I know that, with the right education, nutrition, and just some simple lifestyle choices, you can change. You can get onto that healthier path.
And it does help to have accountability.
Yes, for sure. And we're human at the end of the day, even myself. I have an accountability partner. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It can be your spouse. It can be a friend. It can be a coach if you're wanting to invest in that. Because being accountable to ourselves, it's not the easiest thing. That's why Olympic athletes need coaches, right? So even at the top of their game, because it's always that those moments where they can incrementally increase and improve, and also those moments where they need someone to say, hey, it's okay, you're doing fine. You had a little extra chocolate today, that's all right, it's not going to undo your journey, just keep going.
I had a mentor once tell me, wherever you're starting, start there, whether it's the middle of the day, first thing in the morning, late at night. Like, no one mistake has to derail the entire journey. Like, 1,000%. Just start again. And I think for me, I mean, that seems like such a simple concept, but I think I a little bit have that mentality. It's like, oh, well, now the day is cashed, there's no going back, right?
I'll start on Monday.
Right. No, exactly. Which I think is pretty normal. So it's sometimes helpful to just have somebody remind you, well, okay, so, today wasn't great. Like, okay, tonight at dinner, let's, make some better choices, or try to get to bed early, or, whatever that looks like for you.
Absolutely. And like I said, we're all human. And so another, aspect of my business, or layer of my business, is that I am a business coach as well, for people that are starting their wellness businesses. And so I see that it's all about patterns, right? And human beings, like, we just follow patterns. And many times we are wired to think, like you said, once I'm down this path, that's it, forget about it, yet our life is just about pivoting all the time, whether it's the weather, whether it's a, huge life situation, a hurricane or a tornado, it's all about pivoting and knowing that you can change. And you can. You just have to forget that moment. Ted Lasso, right? The goldfish, right? Goldfish. Everybody's like a goldfish, like, forget that moment, right? And then move forward. And And your brain's the same thing. Mel Robbins speaks about the 5-second rule, the same thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, forget about it. It's a new moment. Yet a lot of us tend to dwell in that.
Yeah.
And it's a downward spiral. And so...
And what a waste of our time. Right?
Indeed. And
when we all feel like time is so precious, and then here we spend so much time dwelling on things that are over and done
why
with.
do we wait until we're in our 40s or 50s to have that epiphany? You know?
Totally, I could have been smarter in my 20s. I feel like everybody probably says that.
Of course. Let's look back to our 20s with what we know now.
With all the wisdom of our years. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's very interesting. But and I used to be like that as well. Like, oh, I'll just start tomorrow. Or I'll wait until Monday, you know, because I'm very linear and I need to be on a schedule. So if I passed up my 10 a.m. window, I'm like, oh, the day is done.
Right. And I think even sometimes when people are trying to do something, it's like we've been trained at some point in our lives that we want to put everything on a schedule, like a repetitive schedule, like working out on a repetitive schedule, or, you know, cooking and meal prep on a repetitive schedule. And then if you can't accomplish that schedule, then you're so discouraged. You're like, oh, well, I just can't do it in this season of life at all, right? Like, oh, well, no meal prepping for me. Oh, no working out for me. Like, I guess I just don't have time.
I know. It's shocking how easily we give up on ourselves.
You have to give yourself permission to just do what you can do. But yes, it's taken so many years to kind of start to do that.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't have any workout schedule right now. I just go when I have time to go. And sometimes it's once a week, sometimes it's 3 times a week. And I don't beat myself up about it.
Same with me. You know, I was never a runner. I always played team sports, and that's how I love to get my movement.
Did you play tennis?
I did not.
Okay. But you're very good at pickleball.
Thank you. I played table tennis, which you guys call ping pong here.
Yes.
And I played volleyball. And another sport called netball, which you guys don't know about. It's similar to basketball, but that's a story for another day. Okay. However, my point was I was not a singular exerciser. I still do not enjoy going to the gyms. Okay. Some people need that. Although I, you know, through my reading and everything else, realized how important walking is, right? Embracing walking in your day. And what I do now is I walk and listen to my audiobooks. And my audiobooks now are all education, you know, usually personal development, right? How can I fuel my brain? Yet the point of my story is like I had scheduled, I'm going to wake up in the morning and have my coffee and and be out the door by 7 a.m.
The best laid plans.
Right. And if that didn't happen, I just would not walk. And I had to, you know, audit myself and be like, okay, I am assisting other people, you know, with this in their life. Like, why am I not like listening to myself? So just like you, if I miss my walk in the morning at any given time, I'm like, oh, it's time for a walk. And I just go for a walk around my neighborhood. I don't have to, you know, drive myself to the boardwalk or the walking tray. It has to be a special occasion. You just put some sneakers on and do that thing.
Yeah, it kind of is funny how similar all humans are in so many ways.
Indeed. And that's why I feel like as a coach,
we all just do the same ridiculous thing.
It's like psychology 101.
And it's always so much easier to help somebody else than it is to help yourself.
Always. Oh, and again, Olympic coaches, you know. It's the bird's eye view. It's just something else. It's just interesting. And I, you know, I guess the older you get as well, the more you can chuckle at yourself and
right.
About our humanistic characters and idiosyncrasy.
Also, yeah, you kind of realize that a lot of things that when you're younger, everything feels like the end of the world. You know, you've got kids in those phases.
Going through it right now. That's why I laugh.
And then suddenly you wake up one day in your 40s and 50s and you're like, oh, wait, the world didn't end. Like every terrible thing that happens or, you know, not fun thing or, you know, something that doesn't go according to plan isn't the end of it. There'll be something else tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I say to my kids, it's all relative, right? It's all relative. And you've got to learn how to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Because, and I am one to talk. I am a Capricorn, very linear.
Oh my gosh, Jane is too.
Is she really?
That's hilarious. I don't even know what that means. I don't know things about the star signs.
Oh, well, it's so very linear. Very, can I say anal retentive?
Sure.
Okay. We can edit that if it's not allowed.
Jane gave a very PG-13 drink education lesson yesterday. show's becoming less family friendly by the day.
I know. They can handle it. But and that's what I feel like even with my kids, we don't baby them. We never have. And so they just need to be, you know, educated as just real life adults along the way and know what life is about. I was very sheltered. And again, I'm very grateful for my upbringing, yet there were a lot of things. I felt like I was very naive, even for my age. I always thought of myself as very mature and grown up when I was in South Africa. But it takes getting out of your fishbowl, I call it, right? To really take account for all the things. And when I came over here, I was like, wow, I have a lot of growing up to do. So, yeah, sheltering within means, but definitely letting, people explore and spread their wings as well, especially kids.
Yeah.
So,
is there anything in particular that comes to mind that you felt like really kind of made you think twice about, oh, the world is different maybe than I thought it was?
I have to say, I expected to come over here and feel a lot of differences. And what I found was there were more similarities. And I loved that, especially getting to learn about different cultures, because there were only so many that I was exposed to in South Africa. And speaking of my suburb back home, it was an all Indian suburb, people of Indian descent, because, with South Africa and its history and apartheid and segregation, there were neighborhoods where each of the race groups lived. And so even though I was there post-apartheid, you still are in the neighborhood you grew up in and everything else. So that was one difference, that when I came over here, everything felt a lot more like a melting pot, like a true melting pot. I love that. Yet as I learned about the different cultures, especially the Mexican culture, because I wasn't really exposed to much there except tacos, it was just so interesting to just find so many similarities. And I love that. And I love meeting people from all over the world, and just to talk about all of the things and how they grew up, and and finding especially the similarities, especially with communal families like the Italians and the Greeks and the Indians. Were like, because we say, oh, that's an Indian thing, and they say, oh, that's an Italian thing. But it's all the same kind of thing. So
yeah,
it's fun.
No, that is really cool when you travel to kind of realize. I remember when I went to Europe for the first time in college, and that really struck me too. And of course, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, we've westernized a lot of the world, and, the rise of TV and the internet has kind of, blended cultures.
Oh, yeah.
In cities across the world. So, most metropolitan areas will feel pretty recognizable at a base level, right? With, some, aesthetic differences and things like that. But it's fascinating how humans all over the world, in every walk and way of life, from all different kinds of experiences, gravitate towards those same foundational things. We're all really so similar deep down. We might eat some different foods and wear some different clothes, but it's like on the insides, we're all just like built the same.
Yeah, and some of us sound a little different as well.
Yeah, well, some of us sound more posh than others.
Mine's very watered down when I meet South Africans. They're like, oh, although I feel like I had to, because some Americans didn't understand my accent. And so,
Well, yeah, we all have to grow and adjust. When I was working in Chicago, there was a group of South Africans at one of the companies I worked at.
Oh, wow.
And so one of them was one of my mentors. And
I did not know that.
Oh, I thought we talked about this. No, so that was my first experience, kind of up close and personal, with South African.
Oh, wow.
And his accent just fascinated me. And it took me a while to kind of catch on to some of the things that he would say. But then, like, because he was one of my, I reported directly to him and a couple of others, that it became like second nature, and I feel like, though, your accent is a little bit more British sounding than his was. His was maybe, like, that group felt a little bit almost more Australian leaning or something.
Well, South Africa is such an interesting country. And if you ever get a chance to visit, I highly recommend it. I just had friends that came back and they're like, wow. You see the things on TV, you listen to people talk about it, you see the photos, but experiencing it firsthand it is an experience. Like when I think back home, like the smells and the sound and just everything. It's just not bigger than Texas. It's a tiny country.
Wow.
Yet it is so varied in landscape, in culture, in people, in food. And again, I'm very fortunate that I grew up there because the quality of food is unbelievable. So if you're a foodie, highly recommend it. But we have so many different influences. We have the British influence, because we were a third world country. Well, still technically they are still a third world country. So a lot of invasions, the British, the Dutch. So we have, depending on where in the country you live, depending on which race group you were born into, depending on what type of school you went to, public versus private, your accent is going to change or be determined rather by that. So a lot of times though, if you meet a South African, once you hear South African accent, you can pick another one up because it is such a specific sort of accent, right?
It is very unique.
Yes. Yet they are varied within that. We have 11 official languages as well. So it's just a real melting pot in terms of
what do
that.
the schools teach for languages?
Good question. So when I grew up, because it was still apartheid, English was my first language. So I learned English and I had to learn Afrikaans. So Afrikaans is actually a derivative of English, German, and Dutch. So I have
so interesting.
some understanding of Dutch and German basic words. I was fluent in Afrikaans, though. I've always wanted to be a polyglot. However, I have minimal knowledge of the other languages. A little Zulu here and there, and that's it. But now that it's post-apartheid, you have a choice as to which of the languages you want to learn in.
Is there an official government language?
Well, we have 11 official languages. So I would say in government, they speak English.
Okay. Like if they're giving an address on TV, what language do they normally speak?
Yes. So they will go between languages.
Okay.
Even our national anthem, it used to be all English. And now it is English and Afrikaans and a couple of the native languages as well.
Have you been to India?
You
are currently
not.
Perhaps maybe sort of leaning in that direction a little bit more in life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Oh,
Okay.
good. I'm
Wow,
glad you asked me about that. I know.
Can I set that up slightly more prettily? I'm like, India. Like it was so painful.
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. I need more coffee. It's a Friday. Okay. So Navini, South Africa is fascinating, but also part of your heritage is the Indian side. And you've never been to India yet.
Not as yet. Yes.
All right. So yes, tell us a little bit what you're working on.
Okay. So yes, I'm of Indian heritage, third generation South Africa. My grandfathers came from India on the boat. So we also took a boat. No, I'm super excited. So I started my business in 2019 and, partnered with a corporate here that's an American company that's been around for 40 years. And they're in 50 countries, including South Africa, which is awesome. However, they weren't open in India yet. And when I had first, gone over to visit the labs and everything else, because, we're very rich in science and I need to know all the things, taught to be a huge researcher.
Didn't we talk about how in another life you could have been like a doctor or something because all the science and like
absolutely
guts and the inner workings of the body are fascinating to you?
So much so. I mean, it's crazy. I just, again, knowing what I know now, can we just rewind to the 20s?
Yeah.
It's lifetime, next lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. But I was shocked that there weren't more people that looked like me. I'm like, gosh, this feels like, because most every Indian I know is a doctor in the wellness field, right? And so I was curious about that. And then I realized that India wasn't open as a market yet. And so it's always been my vision that, I'm going to be able to empower the Indian community with this business one day. And it was just announced last year that we're moving into India later this year.
Perfect. You manifested it into being.
I sure did. Let me tell you.
Single-handedly, of course.
Of course, single-handedly. I do believe I've embraced vision boards and all of those things, again, as part of my personal development journey. So I do, in my office, have a beautiful picture of a bevy of Indian beauties. And so I did. I single-handedly manifested that.
You can take credit for it. We'll give it to you.
No, I'm just so grateful that this is moving in, because I know what this business has done for the lives of so many people that have partnered with it, personally and professionally. And so I'm excited to move into the Indian community and be able to do that as well. So right now what we're doing is we're just strategically planning. So I'm actually meeting a lot more members of the community, of the Indian community. Primarily those that are in the wellness and medical fields, doctors, nutritionists, chiropractors, all of that. And then people that are just really interested in general wellness as well, but also have a entrepreneurial mindset. And so it's just been a journey, let me tell you, Morgan. Like I mentioned, I had no idea where this was going to lead when I started, almost 6 years ago, but it's just... the conversations I have every day, they're just so invigorating and inspiring, and knowing that we are now moving forward to impact that Indian community on such a global level. I'm very excited for. I'm so excited to finally being able to go visit the subcontinent and visit the areas that my family's have been for generations.
Yeah.
And so
no, that's very
thank you for
exciting.
asking about that. It's very exciting, and I will definitely keep you posted on that as well.
Yeah, please do. Well, I'm a little biased, of course, because of the Indians in my family.
Yes.
So,
yes.
we'll be watching your journey with a lot of interest. And I know one day Ed would also love the opportunity to go there. So
Oh, fantastic. We should all go together.
Yes.
How
100%.
amazing with that. I could totally see you in a sari right now.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I just would tower over everybody and be like the weird white monster. But
no, that's all. You have the perfect figure face. You look like a goddess.
Oh my gosh. No, but I do. My mother-in-law is a fabulous cook. And so I've Indian food has grown on me later in life. And as you know, I have Indian clients up in Melbourne and have learned a little bit about the culture over the years. So no, it would be fantastic. And I do love to travel, and I love to see how cultures are similar and then yet also different. And so I think that, we should figure that out.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, perfect. Well, okay, we're off to India, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Jane, and we'll have a wellness journey.
Yeah, she can make sure that we come back as our very best selves, fully rejuvenated and revitalized. Oh my gosh. No, that's amazing. I just really appreciate you as a friend, and you are always such a light and good energy, and very fortunate that we've met and stayed in touch and figured out ways to do things together in life. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, sure. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I don't believe in accidents or coincidence. So I know that we were meant to meet each other, and I'm equally grateful for you and this opportunity and all the fun things we get to do together for work.
I know.
I mean, right?
We do have fun along the way. we figure out ways to squeeze the fun in.
If it's not fun, and then that's what I love. I love what we do. I could work all day long because it's so exciting. It's fun, and then we're helping people as well. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. People can reach you by, shall we drop like email links and phone number and stuff like that in the comments? People have questions or want to talk more about nutrition and health and wellness?
For sure. Yes, we can drop all of that in the comments along with that recipe. And I'd love for you all to try it and put your spin on it, because there's never a wrong way to make a mocktail or a cocktail. And we have to hear back from you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
All right. Try it. Enjoy it. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Until next time.